This video contains disturbing and violent content. Viewer discretion and...
Many people love to play games and enjoy losing themselves to either a world where you kill goblins, race a vehicle, navigate through space, care for a family, or shoot the nearest bad guy in a first-person shooter. Sadly though, most of us have experienced this one annoyance and this one thing that can just ruin a game and cause you to never touch it again.
It seems funny at first, but glitches like this can be the killing joke that breaks a good game. What we're talking about is the top 25 game-breaking glitches.
Super Mario Bros. 3. In the NES version of Super Mario Bros. 3, if the player died on the World 5 airship, there was a rare chance that the airship would fly off the map completely, making it impossible to advance. While the ship looked as if it was flying above the land below, the sprite was indeed out of bounds, meaning that anchor item was actually useful for once.
Paper Mario. The original Paper Mario also contained a game-breaking bug in Bowser's lower area of the castle. There was a room containing an item that was supposed to be only accessed after getting rid of the lava. If you try to jump into the entrance of the room, what would happen is the lava would damage you, setting you up in the air as usual, but afterwards you would trigger the Enter Area script. It would show the room in lava momentarily, then the game cuts sound and practically implodes and you see countless numbers pop up. Can you imagine the amount of kids who possibly accidentally found this glitch just to have what was supposed to be a good time ruined?
Age of Empires, Nintendo DS. The Age of Empires game is a very fun one and one of my favorites, to be honest. As it was for the Nintendo DS, it was also plagued with tons of technical issues, including one that bricks the cartridge if the name of your save file was less than 4 characters long. Eventually, the publisher started printing inserts on the box warning people of this issue.
Mad Dog mission from Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. A glitch in a mission where you had to save Mad Dog from his own suicide attempt by positioning a truck full of hay underneath him before he could jump off a building. It would become unbearable because he would jump off the building before the cutscene ended. No one is certain what triggers this glitch. It seems to be completely random. Many believe that it's caused by cheating extremely often or using common cheats. This has since been discredited since many people who have never cheated once in a game still had the glitch occur, while some that cheated extensively said they never saw it.
Legendary The Box. In the PC version of Legendary The Box, the elevator that leads to the final battle will pass right through the player's body, causing them to fall through the floor and die. If you're affected by the bug, it will happen every time you try, and it is impossible to bypass without messing around with the game's .ini files. I would also like to mention, this game is considered to be one of the worst first-person shooters in the last console cycle. It's no surprise why this game likes to provide you with even less of a reason to look at its putrid case.
Lion King PC. The second level requires you to ride an ostrich, and then towards the end jump off onto a giraffe and then head for a checkpoint. Unfortunately, 90% of the time you'll probably fall off the head, meaning you cannot get back up there, and you can't beat the level. For a level this early on, you'd think that they would have tested it way before the release, but alas, it was not meant to be.
Alone in the Dark. There's a sequence where you must drive a car from a building near Central Park all the way through some of the nearby streets in order to escape a gigantic fissure wreaking havoc on the city. However, during the very last part of the ride, a very nasty bug will sometimes prevent the map from correctly loading during the last jump, making you fall to your death and forcing you to repeat the whole driving sequence again.
Crysis. Crysis had an annoying bug where the final boss would randomly become invincible and untargetable. This was made more annoying as the battle involved 3 separate phases and the bug could happen during any one of these. To top it all off, saving during mid-fight did not help. And the community never quite figured out what caused the dreaded bug, so the only solution was to save before the fight and keep on reloading until it went right. To give you an idea for how many times this could happen, it could take as much as 5 to 6 attempts.
Far Cry 2. Far Cry 2 has the infamous 27% glitch, so named because it occurs when you have gotten to 27% game completion. It only happens sometimes. When it does, one of the faction's mission-giving non-player characters fail to spawn. This prevents you from completing the game as you have to do all the story missions in the northern district to go to the southern district and then finish the game. The only way to avoid it is to restore from a save before 27% completion and hope it doesn't happen again.
Ride to Hell Retribution. The whole game itself is virtually unplayable. What you notice about most of the game-breaking glitches is the habit of making the roads you travel across just suddenly disappear, leaving you falling in a giant abyss. This happens extremely often, and it's a wonder how this game got funded or even bypassed the game's testers. To be honest, this is probably due to the development hell this game went through, as it started off as an open-world sandbox but degenerated into, well, whatever the hell this game is. It's also poorly optimized for the PC on launch, and crashes were frequent.
Donkey Kong Country 2. An extremely serious glitch can occur in Donkey Kong Country 2 on the vertically scrolling Castle Crush stage. There's a barrel near the beginning which can be grabbed and broken without being thrown. The glitch can cause the game to crash in some cases, but this could end up being worse than a simple restart or even losing save files. In some cases, the glitch's effects are so severe that they damage the game beyond repair. Some accounts suggest that this damage even extends to the system or emulator itself. Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Saving the game at the ice cream factory in Vice City has been known to corrupt many gamers' save file. The Malibu crash exclusive to the PC version of Grand Theft Auto Vice City causes the game to immediately crash when nearing the vicinity of the Malibu. It's not known what causes it, but it causes the game to crash, saying error reading the Grand Theft Auto Vice City DVD. Thanks Rockstar for caring about your PC fanbase. This is the reason why we got people making a petition to never make a Grand Theft Auto 5 version of the PC. And I'm not even kidding about that, because due to this glitch some people complained and the other Xbox diehard fans said, and I quote this, they don't deserve it. Battletoads. The game was littered with minor glitches that suggested poor beta testing. The more critical flaw occurs in level 11, Klingerwinger. During a two-player game, the second player is unable to move and therefore must lose all of his or her lives before the player 1 can continue the level. This makes finishing the game even more difficult for the second player, as that player had one less continue in any accumulated extra lives at his or her disposal. This glitch was removed in versions of the game released outside of the United States.
Action 52. Action 52 has a ton of games which have a ton of bugs. The most infamous is the NES version of Ooze. Active Enterprises even held a contest saying the first person who could get past level 5 wins $104,000. Sadly, the game freezes near the end of level 3, making it near impossible to win. On the third level of Lollipops, the glitch Gremlin invades the sound chip and permanently messes up the music. Alfredo and Jigsaw completely fail to load most of the time, even on emulators. Not to mention the going price for this game at retail was supposed to be around $200. Yes, you heard me right, $200 freaking dollars. And even with all this, they thought that the Cheetah Men game was gonna have a whole series of toys and games and etc. that was gonna follow it. And Cheetah Men 2 was even more glitchy than Action 52.
Team Fortress 2. In Team Fortress 2, at least the Xbox version, it's possible to sometimes walk around in the sky above the second cap of the first part of the Dust Bowl map. If an engineer managed to build a sentry up there, the sentry is basically indestructible, and getting past it deemed somewhat impossible. This was even worse on the PlayStation 3, as if not developed by Valve themselves. Glitches like that continued to run rampant even a year after they had been fixed on the PC and 360. This game on console was just littered with bugs and issues that made it not worth touching, sadly. Please get the free-to-play version on the PC. Most systems can run it quite well.
Fallout New Vegas. Let's get this straight. I love this game. I love Fallout. I really love Bethesda. But let's get real. Bethesda often releases their games with unstable engines, many bugs, and for New Vegas not being developed by Bethesda but by Obsidian, who developed the buggy mess known as Alpha Protocol, this was a disaster waiting to happen. New Vegas, as much as it did to help innovate and improve the franchise, had an extremely buggy launch, and the worst thing they put in was the horrible state of the autosave. If you're not aware, Fallout New Vegas would sometimes save before battles, and that's cool, right? When you die, you simply restart from the beginning. Well, what happens if you get sniped or one hit killed by a Deathclaw? That's right, ruined save data, and if you don't save often, let's say you restart from a very early save. The PC version had an issue where the game would crash frequently, and quick saves 1 out of 5 times would have a chance of instantly being corrupted. So saving frequently didn't even help in that case! This is why I'll stick to Fallout 3, thank you very much. Skyrim. Skyrim had a disastrous PS3 launch, and it was littered with bugs that eventually led to DLC being postponed to almost a year after initial release. This main glitch I'm going to talk about is a rather personal one that ruined the game for me on the sleek black console. And that's the fact that when the game was initially released, some games would bug out the vampire quest to cure vampirism. The issue with this is that being a vampire can be an extreme hassle because you can't be in the light, and it also kinda sucked before the whole vampire lord thing. And to top it all off, in some cases, this bugged out the companions quest, causing you to be stuck as a vampire, unable to access the full game as the character that you want to be. It may not break the game for some, but roleplay and role-playing as the character that you want to be was kind of, why they call it an RPG and the whole point of Skyrim, at least in my opinion. This led me to put the game down prematurely, and still to this day I haven't picked it up again. Left 4 Dead. In fact, just about every survival map in both Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2 contain spots like these where almost nothing can reach you. In some spots, literally nothing can reach you, allowing for utterly absurd times. The developers attempted to stop this from happening in Left 4 Dead 2 by spawning spitter acid in areas the game considers out of bounds. But the addition of the grenade launcher meant that you could launch some people into areas where the spitter acid can't even spawn. And the thing is, Valve can't patch this glitch. It would require a completely retooling of the physics engine, something that cannot be done with a simple patch. I personally played Left 4 Dead when these were happening. It usually was just some jerk who would sit in a no-kill zone for long periods of time, allowing for everyone else to die and just watch him sit and shoot. Sometimes this person would go out of his way to make sure that everyone dies early by using firebombs, gas canisters, and other malicious deeds to harm the players who just want to respectfully play the game fairly.
Pokemon X and Y. A very bad bug happens when a player saves the game in the outskirts of Lumio City. If the bug happened to you, your game would freeze. Restarting the game causes it to just freeze again. Whenever it loads a save, it effectively forces you to delete your save file in order to progress. Specifically, the error occurs when you save the game in the outside streets area of Lumio City, the major capital city in the newer games. Although the game was patched, the glitch seemed to affect both physical and digital versions of the game. It doesn't help that Lumio City is easily the most confusing and disorientating city in the series, so many players may save there to take a break or get their bearings. Batman Arkham Origins. The void glitch happens when the player dies in a certain area of the game, or during a boss. When the player respawns, they will appear falling into a wide open void. The void is not infinitely deep. If you fall enough without touching the controller, you will actually land on a small invisible platform. If you move much, you'll miss the platform and eventually die. It saves the game in the void, so after dying you will see the regular scene for that confrontation if you die, with a tip, and then you respawn falling into that void again.
Zelda Twilight Princess. In Zelda Twilight Princess, there existed an annoying glitch that could potentially mess up the entire game. When the player entered the cannon room in Ronaldo's basement of Kakariko, if they were to save in the room, Shad, who was previously there, will vanish, but Link would be unable to warp the cannon out of the room because the game claims that Shad is still watching Link. If the player were to look around the room, Shad isn't there. If the player attempted to leave the room, Shad appears at the door and won't let you leave. You're stuck, you can't leave, and you can't transform, and you can't progress the storyline. However, this glitch was common on the older versions of the games, but has since been patched.
Call of Cthulhu. This bug, widely known as the Devil Reef bug, is an annoying bug where at one point of the game, the player would have to look through a turret's viewfinder and shoot a bunch of witches on the other shore, who are creating tidal waves and destroying your ship. The actual problem? It's way far off on a distant island and the witches wouldn't appear. You had roughly 10 seconds to find them and fire at them, but all you could see was an island with seemingly no one on it. To get around the bug, there are walkthroughs online showing guidelines for where the witches are. The guidelines are along the lines of shoot a little to the left or slightly darker bit of grey smoke at the 3-second mark. Try it for yourself, see if it works. StarFox 64. StarFox 64 had a very bad glitch that happened after beating Starwolf on Hard Venom. A cutscene would play, and we hear Fox deciding to go it alone from here. The CPU will then control Fox's ship to the tunnel that leads to Andros. Problem is, if you're the wrong distance or angle away from the tunnel, the ship will just keep circling around the tunnel and never get any closer. What's more annoying than playing the entire game for past 20 minutes and having to restart with all of your past progress lost? The A-bomb bug from Oblivion. This is a particularly malevolent and soul-crushing one, as it kicks in after you've played for hundreds of hours. And I would know, as it happened to me unfortunately. You know when you get it, because effect animations like fires, spells or doors opening would either slow to a crawl or stop executing entirely. This, among other things, caused dungeon gates and Oblivion gates to stop working altogether. The worst part? The developers knew the A-bomb existed. They found out during a contest to see which player could play for the longest time, except they did nothing to fix it. This sadly is a glitch that ruined the game for many players. If you didn't experience it, then you're lucky, but for those of us who got the extremely high level characters just to have them be destroyed, let's say there's a reason why Oblivion still sits in its case.
World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft experienced a near game-breaking glitch in its early days. A boss known as Zulag Grob released a bad disease called the Corrupted Blood that could spread but only to players nearby. This disease was not meant to get out of the instance the boss was in, but a clever player could infect a pet and put the pet away, and travel to a major city and release the pet, and basically begin the MMO equivalency to the Black Plague. Luckily, it only seriously affected one server before Blizzard fixed it. But sadly, the young kids such as myself who had to deal with this unknown glitch before even knowing how to read or what it was causing players to do, caused people like me to cancel their subscription prematurely. The Corrupted Blood incident was also the subject of a real-world scientific journal that basically studied the spread of disease through the World of Warcraft, complete with the analysis and effects of NPCs, also known as carriers, and the troll assholes who intentionally spread it for their malicious reasons. The Center of Disease Control contacted Blizzard on the subject, so the spread of the virtual disease among the digital characters in a game made it into a scientific journal as a possible model for the spread of real-world diseases. Wow, World of Warcraft, great job!